Hey, my name is Lou,
And my name is Katie.
and you're listening to Files from the Other Side. This week, we're opening the files on.
Vampires.
Ooh, vampires.
Mm,
See, my nails are
so
chipped.
excited.
Your nails look great. Oh my god.
Dude,
That's fun. My nails are
happy
chipped, but
30
I'll show
days
you.
off nicotine to me.
Fun. Sparkly. We love a queen.
My fabulosity knows no bounds. You know? Also, yeah,
Um,
maybe my nails are a little vampire-y today. They're fucking long. It's
they're scary. The
fierce.
way you did it, I was like, that's spooky.
Awesome. It is spooky season after all.
We are on October 2nd. I don't know when you're hearing this episode, but on October 2nd today, so it's the beginning of spooky season,
Mm,
and we're 30, flirty, thriving, almost. But
almost.
like basically.
But like, I'm like literally tripping balls about turning 30.
I
I'm
know.
closer to 30 than 28 at this point. Like,
Yeah. No, for real. I'm through my Saturn return, I think. I don't know.
I feel like we still have like another year and a half of our Saturn return. Because apparently that shit lasts for like 3 fucking years. I just had my exact like return, but it's still gonna like we're still gonna feel the effects of the orbit. I think for another like year and a half supposedly, or like a year.
Yeah. I think I just hit some of my more poignant parts of it.
Oh, I definitely did.
Yeah.
I mean, I quit smoking.
Yeah.
What? What?
I'm facing my inner demons, yo. So, you know,
We're coming out the other side, fucking leveled up, is what we're doing.
hopefully. And also, I apologize to the audience for my screaming cat right now. He is a special boy, being a jerk right now because he knows I'm recording because he wasn't doing it before.
Yeah,
So
we were fully on the phone for like 20 minutes before this, and I did not hear one single thing from the cats.
no, and now he decided to go insane. So we're checking him in. Just kidding.
I
I have
mean,
to joke. You know what I mean?
I like, but like, there are people like my mom took her dog to get Reiki done, and apparently he was less of an asshole afterwards. So,
No, my cat's just a very special boy. Like he's been like this since I got him. He hasn't changed. I don't think he needs Reiki. I think he needs to calm down.
I think he needs actually.
That's what we give him. That's what the vet says to give him actually, and we
Mhm.
were very touch and go with it because he gets really high and he just passes out all day. So I want to make sure he has like some time to like get stimulated a little bit. So we don't do it unless he's like kind of giving us warning signs that he's being really bad and
Mm.
really stressed out, and we don't really know what triggers it.
Mm.
We have like a lot of stuff in the house to help him, and it's been working. So, but anyways, today we are talking about vampires,
Mm-hmm.
and before we get into that, I wanted to actually talk about not our nails, but how our week's been.
Sorry,
Because,
I'm too much. I'm sorry. I'll stop. Yes, tell me about your week.
yeah, so I went on a paranormal investigation this last just Monday of this week.
Another UFO or something else?
No, so it was a ghost town out in the middle of Washington, out in the prairies, sort of the Palouse. It's in between Spokane and Pullman, sort of. It's right outside the town of Garfield, Washington. It's
Mm-hmm.
tiny, tiny, tiny. But the ghost town is like off the beaten track. Like you have to really put in it in your Google Maps, and it's even hard. It's hard to get to, like if you aren't from the area. But just long stretches of road and dirt roads and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of dust. but at I know, but at this place, there's like this schoolhouse slash church. I think they confirmed that it was a church, but I was like, it totally could be a schoolhouse. Like it could be a dual purpose
Yeah.
thing. You know what I mean? That they had up in the early, I think 1900s. So it could
Oh,
have
it
been built
probably
sometime in
was
the
dual then.
1800s. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
built in the 1800s, I'm sure. Um, but so the town of Elberton is where it was. Elberton burned down at some point, and the Great Depression ran a bunch of people out too. So it became a ghost town until modern days when the roads were used to clear out for like people who don't want to live in the city, people don't want to live near and other people. So there are houses over there. But Para Northwest, my friends from Para Northwest, they investigated this place once before, and they ran into people who were like recording them. It was like super creepy. And then they found ropes in the trees, which I saw. They found ropes in the trees, which they think like were nooses. They were like really freaked out by this place, and I was like,
how thick were the ropes though?
They look like swing ropes to me, like somebody had a tire in a swing.
Yeah, I'm like, there's like, you would. I get why they were scared.
Well, people were recording them. It was like, they're out in the middle of nowhere, and a car comes by with 5 guys recording you. What the fuck?
What?
Yeah, so they were creeped out, but we were brave enough to come back, right? Because we were like, it's a historical monument. Like anybody.
No, that's like I'm actually tearing up, like thinking about that. Like that's creepy as fuck. Like
well, they were with another guy too, so it was Para Northwest and Paranormal Road Trippers who went last time. It's Mike, Shayla, and Cheyenne, and they all went out. Shout out to them though. So go at the Paranormal Road Trippers and Para Northwest. Definitely go.
Literally like out. I need to listen to both of those. Especially you have episodes that you're on Para Northwest that I still haven't fucking gotten around to yet because I'm a bad friend.
No. Well, they mentioned me in this last episode because I went with them. So we went out there, and so what they said in this first time they went out is that they couldn't set up. Well, we weren't very easily setting up at this place because I say that some of our tech was not working. The battery on my EMF reader went out. Their spirit box has been just not working, and the car lights went off at one point when they weren't supposed to. And I told her to check her battery. Her battery's fine. It was just like weird stuff. So what we figured out to do was we went around. There's this old bridge that we went around. Oh, the first part of the story though. Coyotes ran us out to the car.
Wait, what?
We were surrounded by coyotes. And there was also this really weird sound coming from like a house off in the distance. Sounded like a guy meowing. Like it was not a natural like meow from a cat, and it sounded to me like it could have been an owl. I was like, could be an owl. Like I really debunked it to an owl.
Because cats also often sound like children crying too. Like so, like cat, like that's like.
It didn't sound like a children crying. It literally sounded like a meow, but like screamed. It was fucking weird. I'm really undecided about it. I mean, when they were recording their episode, they were like, yeah, Lou doesn't think it's like anything. I think we were safe. I think that if something was trying to mess with us, like it didn't deter me. I was like, whatever. If you come up to me and tell me I can't explore a haunted historical monument, like F the F off, man. Like I'm not playing this game. Yeah.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
And I really believe that the nooses that they say, I don't think it was nooses. I think they were old swing ropes for sure. I think it might have been a more popular place for kids before, like kids don't live there. Like you never know. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's hard to confirm certain things.
Yeah. Like we need to like look into some history before we fucking like start assuming that they're nooses. You know what I mean? Like are they over by lakes? Then there's swing ropes. Are they if they're on the side of the road? That's some Roman shit, and maybe they were nooses. Like
no, they were in this tree outside the schoolyard, this churchyard. I don't know. I'm hard pressed to say. I'm hard pressed to say that it was a noose, but
yeah.
I also didn't get any weird feelings. Like as a psychic medium, I wasn't feeling any negativity either. I was feeling definitely like people were uncomfortable with seeing our car lights. They were like, what are they doing out there? Why at night? Like I can definitely feel like almost the psychic energy of the people in town for sure. And that's I think what they were kind of picking up too.
Yeah.
And yeah, it might not want us there, but like I was like, who cares? These people can say something if they want to say something. I will tell them like we're not doing anything wrong. Like we literally did nothing wrong. So
no, we weren't breaking and entering. We were just like exploring what we could explore in this area. Like
in paranormal investigation, you can't like break and enter.
No.
I mean, it's not like I haven't done it before, but I'm not saying that I'll do it again to get a shot. No.
I have definitely broken and entered into a fucking insane asylum. That was, and we weren't actively we were just being shitheads on. and Fireball and bored on a Friday night in Massachusetts, and like, what is there to do but drugs, fucking break into places? Like,
Yeah. I
it's country
was
living.
I know, well, Massachusetts. I was with my ex and we were urban exploring is what they call it.
Yeah. Well, you guys were actually in like closer to a fucking place. Like, we were literally like out in the fucking, like, you guys, that was when you lived in Boston at the time, right? Like,
No, but we were in Marlboro.
oh yeah, huh?
Like, 'cause she lived in the.
Mama.
I'm not talking about her. Irrelevant.
Irrelevant. We both broken into insane asylums. And I picked up, I forgot about this. Should I just tell this on another episode? Or should I do this now? We're doing it now. We can take it out. We can take it out if we need to. There was, great. I love this. We fucking broke into this fucking, I forget what the name of it was, because there was two that we were deciding between. And we were going to go to one, and then we ended up switching to the other one. So, like, I can't, and also, again, fireballing.
I have to edit out every time you say
Why?
YouTube.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah. You can say drugs, but you can't say.
Okay. Fireball and drugs. There was a lot of drugs. But we broke into this place. I remember seeing lights around that were like not necessarily like, I remember like being in a courtyard in this like abandoned place that was so overgrown. I remember seeing a couple of lights throughout fucking hallways, like the third floor, that I was like, weird. But then
that's paranormal.
they were the boys were fucking, Dave and Nick were like doing something. They were trying to break into a safe or something like that. Jalen
Rude.
and I were fucking in like the old library of the fucking place. Like having a conversation about like my eating disorder and my alcoholism, and we're like having this really intensive heart to heart. And the fucking boys were recorded something, and we get back to the house and we're like looking at shit. We're like looking at pictures. Like Dave keeps like, he's like, "Is this a ghost? Is this?" I was like, "This is a flare. This isn't fucking anything." Blah blah blah. But then he shows some video footage of when they were breaking into the place. Jalen and I completely in a different fucking room. Only two boys in the room. He's like, "I feel like I hear something in the background, but I can't make out what it is." And I, clear as day, hear a woman asking, "Have you ever struggled with mental illness?" And I was like,
that's fucking freaky.
Fuck the fuck? Like, yeah, there was a couple pictures where he was like, "This is a ghost, right?" And I was like, "Nah, I don't know about that." But that fucking video, I was like, "Bro, that's a woman asking, 'Have you ever struggled with mental illness?'" And he was like, "Fucking freaky."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That was crazy. That was a good night. That was weird.
No, I had a fun time. We found a cat at that place, a stray cat we brought home and named Slum for asylum. Or we named her Xylem. Like, we called her Xylem. But we called her Slum. Because it was cute.
Yeah. She was so teeny tiny.
She was a tiny cat. Yeah, I had to rehome her before we moved back to Washington, but or I did, but she was a really cute cat. I remember her fondly, so.
No, she was a cutie.
But we did Estes methods on this investigation that we did at the schoolhouse.
I love the Estes shit. Okay, tell me about the Estes method.
Okay, so first Shayla went in, then I went in, then Cheyenne went in. We all did about, I want to say like 15 minutes each. Shayla might have done like 20, 30 minutes, but yeah, so Shayla's really good at it. I'm really good at it. Cheyenne's not as confident, but she is perceptive as hell. So she's more visually perceptive though, she says. And I respect that, like that she wants to use like a more visual medium to sort of do her thing.
Sure.
But when we went in, basically what I can describe to you without like going through everything we said was like we found a cyclical pattern to the speech coming out of the spirit box. So what it felt like is that it was like a residual, like it kept saying home, 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 and we were asking at the time that we were asking about the fires, and then it would go around to a more intelligent response, And at one point we thought we were talking to Bigfoot. So it felt like almost like it was going in a circle of like somewhere on the other side where it was hitting like the residual energy, an intelligent ghost, Bigfoot, intelligent ghost, residual energy, and it kept doing that. It was very weird.
Interesting.
Very weird. I think the girls are hard pressed to say they were talking to Bigfoot. I'm not. I'm like, no, that was. I feel like I've never talked to Bigfoot in my life. If I had any evidence that I had, it's in those videos that they took.
What makes you think you were talking to Bigfoot? Why? Why do we think
Because
we were
we
talking
asked
to Bigfoot?
if we were talking to Bigfoot, and it said yes.
I mean,
And I was like, that's clear as day. They want us to know something about Bigfoot. If it's not Bigfoot himself, it's like, why bring that to attention? Why say yes to that? And the weird thing was that, like, I'm telling you, these responses were intelligent. So Shayla, Cheyenne couldn't hear each other.
yeah.
That's the Estes method. You can't hear
Yeah.
what the other person is saying. So they're asking questions, and we're all responding.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these responses were responsive, like, pretty fast. It didn't take much time.
That, and then, like, when they're actually responding to the fucking question, like, oh, man.
I could read it pretty well. Like, as a medium, I kind of knew how to talk to it. Like, it was not hard. It was one of the most easy ones, I thought. I was like, this is weird. But then we were getting also within that pattern, there was also like the like I say, the subconscious of the people who lived there. So it was like ghost, subconscious, Bigfoot, ghost, subconscious, Bigfoot, residual. Like, it was just going in this pattern. Like, it was like we were picking up like radio channels sweeping on the other side. I was like, whoa.
Well, yeah, so you were getting like both sides. You were getting this side of the veil and the other side of the veil.
At one point, I heard my own voice in the Estes method.
What
I full on heard Skylar, and then I heard myself say something. I couldn't pick out what I said because I literally was so freaked out by my voice. I didn't hear intelligibly what I said. And then I immediately took off the headphones and was like, I'm not doing this anymore. It's like,
like, it was like future you.
Or higher self me. I was like, I'm not. Nope. I was like, I don't want to hear that.
Do you think it was future you or higher self you?
So what Shayla and Cheyenne explained to me was that they think it's like a feedback of myself talking to the ghosts in the spirit world, sort of.
Huh. Okay. Like an echo.
Yeah, like an echo. Exactly like an echo. Anyways. So yeah, it was wild. I guess I just like, I'm incredulous every time that I go on a paranormal investigation because I never expect it to be as cool and awesome as it is. And I'm blown away every time I come away because I'm like, bro, how do you not believe in this shit?
Right? Like, how... Yeah, I'm like, it's here. It's obvious. Like, it's...
It may not be what we think it is, which is fine with me, but I'm like, it's something.
Right?
You know?
Like, I mean, I could be wrong about what exactly it is, but there's something. Like,
Yeah.
there's... Maybe it's future you because there's such a thing as quantum particles, and that exist in all times, always, no matter what. Like, you know, like, there's superpositions. Like,
I was getting really freaked out at myself telling myself a message because I was like, I don't want to know what it is right now. Like, I'm not in the capacity to, like, know. I want to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Not try to get in my own head about shit that's going on with myself.
Yeah.
So I liked it as, like, a sort of, like, feedback because I was like, yeah, I'm really good at this. Like, I'm stronger in the spirit world because of what I do mediumship wise. I'm always in the other world trying my best to speak with spirits.
Yeah.
So
fascinating.
I know.
Wait, okay, sorry. Coyotes. I don't think we actually even finished the coyote part of it. Coyotes drove you out?
So, like, they were howling on all sides of us. Like, we heard 3 different packs or individual coyotes howling from 3 different directions, plus the meowing in the 4th direction. So we were surrounded in 4 directions by animals. So we
Because
were
yeah,
like,
the
they
man
were closing
mowing
in. They were
was.
closing in. We heard them getting closer as they were chipping and
Wait,
howling.
so this is after at the end of it, right? This is at
In
the
the
end.
beginning,
This is in the beginning.
yeah, we stayed. So when we did the Estes, we went in the car. So we were in the car most of the time, which I was like safe. I was like, this is fine.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
they like to do car investigations, and I don't mind them. I'm like, they're not. It's not any different than like exploring the place. It's just that we might not pick up like physical evidence of a ghost if we're sitting in the car, like because we're not exploring the place itself, like with video and
Yeah.
all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
to do the communication methods, it works just fine.
Yeah, you're in
We
proximity,
pre-
like, because again,
we
yeah,
presume the spirits can see us as we are. We presume that so that it works better.
mm-hmm.
Like, hey, you can see us. So, what's your week like? What have you been doing?
What have I been doing? I've been watching a whole shitload of BuzzFeed's Unsolved Paranormal. That's been fun. On your recommendation, excuse me. Transcribe some poetry. Yeah, we're trying to be about my creative endeavors. I was a little bit of an energy vampire yesterday.
Ooh.
Fucking work. I was so shitty. I like had this coworker who was super stoked to see me, and I was like annoyed that he was like excited to see me. It was so shitty. I was like, stop it. You need to stop it. Like, you need to be cool. I was just really hangry, and like service was gnarly. Like, it was just like I was just hangry as the end of the shift, and I was too hungry and tired for my life, and like was being a bitch. And like there was this moment like they were like polishing like at the fucking like coffee station, and like people were polishing plates, and I did go in and do something. Like everyone stopped talking when I was there, and I was like, oh my god, I'm being that much of a bitch right now that like I'm bringing the energy down. I had to have a conversation with myself when I was in dish. I was like, it was literally like, you need to be nicer because like you're bringing the vibe down, and like that's not okay. Like, these people are coming in for their shift. Just because you're ending your shift and in a shitty mood doesn't mean like why was I in such a shitty mood yesterday at the end of service? I don't remember. No, I was just being a little bit of an energy vampire yesterday, but not in the fun like Colin Robinson way. Like it was not. I mean, probably Colin Robinson's not fun to hang out with, but I love him on that fucking show. I love him. Yeah. So I had to get my head right yesterday. And today's popping. Lunch was fucking. I think we ended up with more on the books for lunch than we have on dinner service tonight. I was like,
wow. Yeah. Well, who's your favorite vampire?
Am I a basic bitch if I say Dracula?
No.
Dracula was the first book that I finished during quarantine, and consequently the first book that I finished during my sobriety from alcohol.
I think that if you have read Dracula, it's not basic at all.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I appreciate that. Because, like, I actually did fucking read Dracula, and it was amazing. And I think everybody should read fucking Dracula. It is an outstanding book. Excellent horror. I'm not much for horror. Like,
yeah, me either. Not anymore. I have reason for that, but...
Wait, what's the reason? Because you actually communicate with dead people now?
That, but also because of the ongoing genocide in Palestine, I'm seeing horrific shit coming from online all the time. Why do I need to watch blood and gore, like, when I'm literally sick to my stomach from this genocide?
I used to say that oh my god, I started saying that during quarantine. I was like, I don't need to watch a horror movie. I could read a fucking newspaper.
Yeah. That's kind of my thing, is just, like, it's already horrific, especially with the hurricane that just happened. Bless everybody who's going through that right now, and if you have mutual aid links to share, like, you should share them to help the community down there and donate and shit. So maybe I'll share one. But anyways, yeah, like, I feel like horror is more spooky to me lately. Like, I have to keep it spooky. I have to keep it otherworldly. I have to keep it very metaphorical.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do a lot of like literal blood and gore and murder.
I
I'm
can
like, what's the
never do
point?
blood and gore. Like even in action movies, like I'm a no gore kind of person.
But you make a good point about mediumship and speaking with the dead because my grandmother was murdered, and my grandmother is one of my big three protectorates
Mm-hmm.
to do my job. Maybe she doesn't
Amazing.
like to fuck with that shit, and she's like, no, don't do it.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think you make a great point of like I can look at the fucking world today and see horror. Like I don't need to
And it's
seek it
not
out
like
my
I'm getting my
movies.
rocks off on horror either, like by
No,
seeing this. What I
no.
mean is that it's so horrific that I'm not trying to re traumatize myself. I'm trying to stay in the real world, see what the real world problems are, and stay focused on a solution based, like, way forward rather
Yeah.
than,
You're not finding it cathartic to be horrified
no,
in your like.
no, nothing is cathartic about the horrifying shit that goes on. And also,
Oh, I meant like catharsis through horror movies is what I was more talking about. Like
I'm,
horror as a genre.
I think you have to watch your PTSD with that.
Yeah.
And I'm too, I'm just too past that point.
Yeah.
And I have my favorite horror movies with blood and gore that are more metaphorical. Like Hellraiser, the newest one, was sick, but it was also the Hellraiser theme. Like it didn't stray from Hellraiser. So I liked that movie, but it was the last one I saw that I will probably ever see of that much blood and gore. I will never watch another movie like that. I won't even watch Hellraiser again, but I did like it.
You're like, I'm not gonna watch that movie again, but I liked it.
Yeah, like I've seen it. I like it, but I'm
And you're not a psychotic rewatcher like me. But
no,
you ever
actually,
seen 30 Rock 25 times? Like,
no.
that's not even an exaggeration. I have legitimately seen 30 Rock at least 25 times.
I believe you.
Because every time I would watch it, I'd watch it twice. I'd be at the end of the show, I'd be like, what else could I possibly even watch? And just run it back.
Yeah. Well, what about Dracula?
Right.
Gets you.
Vampires. The task at hand. Yes. Sorry. Finish your question. I'm so sorry I'm interrupting you.
No, I was just thinking, like, what about Dracula in particular for you then?
Um, it was a really good. It was a really good book. And
I mean, hands down, if that's the reason, that's the reason.
It was a really great book. I mean, because let's be real here, my favorite person in it was like Mina Harker, or like the fucking. But like, he's cool. Like, he's got a lot more powers than you would think has. Like, he can walk around in the daylight. Like Dracula, like can like be out and about in the daylight.
So could Edward, but he sparkled.
He did not sparkle. So Dracula did not sparkle. He just looked like a man. He's apparently the beginning of like sexy vampires because before they weren't. They were very unholy. They were blah blah blah. But Dracula like was like presentable. I wouldn't say necessarily sexy, but like presentable.
Okay.
And because he was like, because the whole book is about like him like trying to. He's like in Transylvania and then wants to like go to England and start like his hostile world takeover.
I love that.
Right? We stand a hostile world takeover. And
As long as it includes us in the hostel.
that's what I mean. Like we only stand it if it's us. But he's like he could turn into mist. That was a fun thing.
Ooh.
Like he can turn into mist and like bats. He can turn into a wolf.
Ooh.
So some vampires can turn into wolves.
That's sick.
He could only change it like noon, like it's like dusk, dawn, and like noon, like
Okay.
the like heights of the day, I guess. What's the one? What is red on OSP? She said, if you put a rose on his coffin, it like seals him in, like when he's sleeping, like,
Ooh.
which is like romantic and weird. Like that's kind of like an erotic weird thing.
Yes.
And what else? Let me check out my notes. But Dracula, I don't know. Dracula's sick. It's a really good fucking story. I was in love with Quincy. What is it? Repelled by garlic, powerless in the day. So he's powerless except for can only transform at noon, dusk, dawn. Cannot cross running water. A wild rose on his coffin traps him. Normal immortality and eternal youth if well fed. No shadows, no reflections, transformed into a bat. Super strength. You can transform into what? Oh, weather control. Riding moonbeams. Slipping through
Mm.
very thin spaces, and then dark vision. Dark vision seems very standard for a fucking vampire.
Yeah.
That seems pretty regular. Um, Riding moonbeams. That's sick.
You know what? It reminds me that you're saying all this, that like, um, in Twilight, how they had special powers, like individually. Like, what if that's a
That
thing
was
in
cool.
vampire lore? You know what I mean? What if
That's
that's
a
like a thing?
thing on in what we do in the shadows.
I feel like it's a thing.
That's a
Like
thing.
vampires have their like Dracula might have his own powers.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Carmilla for a second. Do you mind?
Please, let's get into some Carmilla.
So Carmilla was, I think, the original vampire, like book, but she's overshadowed because it's a story about a woman, I think. So Dracula overshadows her as like the pre-date, but it's not. So like in Carmilla, it's written by Sheridan Le Fanu in 1872. It's gay as fuck. Everyone, it's gay as fuck. It's amazing. So like Carmilla becomes ill because of like this, or not Carmilla, Laura, this main character, becomes ill because Carmilla starts to live at her house. Well, I was going to bring up about Carmilla, and you can look into the stories and Google it. I'm not going to like go into the story, but what I found interesting about that was that there is a vampire hunter in this book. And if we're talking about one of the first literature references of a vampire, to also have a vampire hunter is interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because that insinuates more history about vampires.
Yeah.
Because if you have a vampire hunter, you have a history of vampires, right? Am I right? Okay, because there would be a
You're not
job
wrong.
for that person. Like that person would then suddenly be taken seriously in this like world or whatever. Okay, but then it makes me think of the role of paranormal investigators and how we sort of like do our jobs, but it's not very like valuable in this society because everything we say is not real. It's not like real to people. But imagine if spirituality was taken more seriously and we had spiritual jobs for people. This isn't, hostile world takeover
Yeah.
and new world type shit, but imagine that alleviation of like suffering, not just like for your mental, but like for your entire being, like trying to figure out what exactly is around you, trying to communicate with you and what exactly it's saying, and then giving you a method to communicate for yourself with these things. Like, I think it's especially healing. But I won't go so far to say as like we slay vampires, right? Like I don't think that. But I think that you have to slay a vampire, first of all. So if we were to do that, we would have to do that. But like that leads me into the other part of the conversation actually, that I wanted to talk about.
Do it.
And
Get into
that was about like have you, like you mentioned earlier, you were like, I think I was like
An energy vampire?
an energy vampire.
Some Colin Robinson shit yesterday? Yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking about like do you have any other examples of like you being a vampire, like people preying on you or your life force?
Fucking my crazy ex roommate?
Yeah, that's serious. That can happen. And especially if, like, did you experience any poltergeisty activity versus vampiric activity?
She definitely did. She had something attached to her, man, for sure. She was like the door would never stay closed; it would slam shut. It would open like at random. She saw her sister. She was on FaceTime with her sister in my room actually one night. It was like when we were still like transitioning, and she was staying in my room, and she was like on FaceTime with her sister in my bed, and my head of my bed faces my sliding glass window to go to the porch, and she was like fucking on FaceTime with her, blah, 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 blah. And her sister all of a sudden is like, "Who the fuck is standing behind you?" At the fucking sliding glass door. And she was like, "Wait, what are you talking?" And there was like a man, like a tall like man, there was like a shot figure of like a tall man behind. I don't think she even saw it. I think only her sister saw it, or maybe she did see it. She was like, "What the fuck is that?" And just like closed, like made sure it was locked and like hid under my bed or something.
Whoa, that's freaky.
Yeah, no, she was like hearing shit. I remember she said she had a conversation with a demon one time, and she like asked it its name, and I was like, "What are you doing? That's like demon shit." No, that was just a car. I heard.
Spokane.
Yeah. I got real scared for a second there.
Spokane.
She asked its name, and it told her.
No, don't even say it.
No,
No.
I don't know what it is. I
Good.
was like, do not tell me. Do not
No.
fucking tell me that is how you summon. She was like, that's how you take away their power. I'm like,
No, it's not.
That's how you summon them. That's their true name is how I don't even give out like what I call myself is different than what I introduce myself as to people. I don't even give out my name. Like, or at least my true name. So like that, because that's how you summon something, is by calling their real name. Like,
that's freaky as shit. Also, like, yeah, I feel like, you know, when you're really into the weeds of having your own demons, like, if you participate in it, you end up being worse.
Yeah.
I think you don't heal yourself and you go into the bad place, sort of.
Fucking health got way worse.
Yeah.
Like her, and like, I mean, she literally was, apparently she was in so much physical pain when she was trying to move out. Like, she didn't end up fucking doing any packing. Like, I had to come home from work and pack for her. Like, shit like that. Oh my God, she would fucking leave. Yeah, no. Shit,
Crazy roommate.
Crazy roommate. That I was constantly cleaning up for.
Yeah. Well, I actually came up with a few examples for myself too. Like, so I was thinking, like, I don't think this is vampiric, but I think it's like, for me, was a really dangerous, like, sort of like slippery slope, because it's working with children. Because, like, they prey off your life force to grow up, I think. Not to say they prey. I think it's just a natural, like,
they don't know how to be a human being yet. So, like, you have to, like, give extra life force to them to teach them how to be a person.
I did not have that extra. And they were just, like, exhausting me and emotionally draining me. Like, I was so emotionally intelligent and emotionally capable of handling their problems, more so than some of the other staff, that I felt bogged down by the job, right? Another thing is, like, my mom a little bit, like, has in the past preyed on my life force to stay alive herself. I don't know how to be frank. Me and my mom have a better relationship now than we ever have, but then I also have, like, a random vampire story, like, kind of like your roommate thing, like this. So it's weird because, like, when we saw, I think I've told the story on the podcast before, how we saw aliens. I don't know how else to say it besides saying that, or seeing God, maybe. I don't know. It's like, whatever about it.
Seeing God seems so much more Crazy Town Banana Pants.
I can explain to you why not, but it's fine. I'm still me, and I don't care about anything else. So.
No, I mean, that's all, you gotta be you. Like, I just wanted to. I'm like, I'm with you on, like, God. I've seen God, or whatever the ultimate reality.
I like it.
Ames thought I was so crazy, and then she came back one summer and she was like, it happened, and I was like, yeah.
No, it's happened for me.
Yeah. It's a thing. Wait, should we tell them the story?
No,
I'm not getting into it. No,
not yet.
No,
maybe
it's
on
too
another
soon.
episode. I'm sorry, guys.
That made me so giddy. Okay, sorry, keep going.
Okay.
I don't think you have told the UFO story on the podcast. Or maybe it's behind the paywall.
I'm not going to tell it to people right now, like, in full, because I think if you want to know, just ask me. Like, I will tell you the story.
We're going to do it in our first Aliens episode, probably, anyway.
Probably, so. Yeah. Okay. So, I basically, like, because of us seeing a UFO, I think that me and Cheyenne particularly got sick, like, because we were extra sensitive, so we were extra vulnerable to the energy. I felt really sick. She got actually sick. She got, like, bronchitis or something. And it felt really weird because Shayla was fine, Haley was fine, Courtney was fine, but me and Cheyenne, the two most sensitive people there, were not fine. And I started putting out some videos on Facebook too. So this is kind of like where I think the vampire came from. I was putting out some videos on Facebook because I've been trying to sell my tarot, right? And I had my mom and my sister share them. But, like, the community that I come from, the people that they're friends with are, like, horrible people. And, like, I think that I put myself in a vulnerable position, basically. And somebody on Facebook started preying on my energy. At first I thought it was somebody else, but then I was like, that really doesn't make sense. So I tried to figure out a different thing, and I was like, I think it was something through my mom or through my sister, people they know that I also know, that would want me not participating in my spiritualism, that would rather me be demonized for the things that I do. And so I started having these like weird things like with my blood. Like I was like, it's nothing dangerous. It was just like weird. I could smell blood. I was finding like pinpricks on my arms that I was like, I didn't scratch, I didn't bump into anything, I don't know what that's from. They're not the usual pinpricks I get, and they like disappeared over the time, because what I did was I was like realized it pretty fast. I was like, I need to protect myself, I need to protect my house, I need to, because what I didn't want was somebody to like break into our house, like trying to prey on us specifically. So I put a bunch of garlic outside the house, and that seemed to work, actually, because everything turned out fine after that. Like everything was like fine. I felt safer. I felt the garlic's still out.
Is this where you threw rice out too?
I just threw rice out because I was like, you know, the whole thing about the counting, picking up and counting. I threw a bunch of rice out. It was really freaky, and I'm reeling because it was too freaky for me. But I had also just been reading, like, almost a synchronicity of sorts. I'd also just been reading Psychic Self-Defense by Dion Fortune, and I was reading currently, or I had just read the previous night, the chapter on how to protect yourself from vampires, and she talks about the warning signs. And I was like, I'm getting these warning signs. I read about them. I already know what they are. And so I threw out some garlic, threw out some rice, and I was like, hasta la pasta, vampire. Get the fuck out of here. Kindly.
Hasta la pasta.
But yeah, that's like my story. So, but I have like a more sort of like deeper conversation about evil. I kind of want to get into.
Yeah. Sure.
I don't really have like a question, but I'm like wondering, like, basically I think the main philosophical conversation about evil is like, is it innate? Do you believe it's innate? Or do you believe that there's something else?
Yeah. Yes. I guess I do believe it's innate. Wow, like three things just came into my head at the same time. There's, I think, where do I start with this? Because there's one of my favorite quotes in the entire Bible, Job, chapter 3, verse 4, B. Because the beginning of the quote is, "You speak as any impious woman would," which I don't like that line. But the next half of the fucking verse is, "Shall we accept the good at the hand of the Lord and not the bad?" Which I think that it is innate, because there's horrifying evil things, like are like, why do we have the economic system that we do? Because evil is innate, and white men want to rule the fucking world. They want to own everybody. Colonialism is evil. Mercantilism also, like, racism. Yeah, there's so many like evil things, and there's this is one of the other things that popped in my head. There's a Jewish belief that two of the three inclinations that keep the world in movement, running, like in motion, are evil inclinations that can be used. You can use them constructively. The three inclinations. The good one is mercy. Right. The two bad ones are lust and competition.
Yep, I've heard that. I've heard that, and I've heard that they're not technically evil though too. They're like productive evil or whatever.
You can make them productive. Like lust is important. Like, that fucking keeps the species alive. Like, we biologically need a like sexual attraction and sexual enjoyment we would not have sex. I mean, I guess we would, like, because animals don't necessarily have sex for, like, a lot of animals don't have sex for pleasure. They do it because to keep the species alive, like literally reproduction. But like, that is like, that can be used, like, if you keep it in a consensual fucking, if everyone's stoked about what's happening, lust is perfectly fucking fine. Like, there's outlets for it where it's constructive and not evil. Like, there's like, competition can be fucked up and evil, or it could be the fire under your ass that makes you discover the cure for cancer. Like,
That's what I feel
it's
about right now about the stuff you're describing, um, about capitalism, colonialism, settler colonialism, white supremacy, all that kind of stuff. I feel like when I think about that Jewish concept, I kind of think about the competition part of it, because I'm like, it's one man's will to be better than another man, or to have what the other man has, to reap and sow what they may from it. And I feel like it can be constructive in a certain regard, like, to do justice, but like, if it's not constructive, it's not justice, right? So what we're seeing is not justice.
yeah.
Like, what we're seeing is the evil, the root of evil, right? But I think that it also, what it has done in turn, is lit the fire in the ass of resistance. Because resistance will not let this evil be tolerated, because it is too evil.
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Dr. King, letter from a Birmingham jail. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's
Came into my
perfect.
head.
Like, and I'm hard pressed though to say that evil is innate. I actually think that evil is learned. I think, because I think we have to learn at a very young age, how to work within the world. And when we see something evil, it's subjective. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of subjective. And so I'm like, I'm wondering, like, for myself, like, how exactly, because, like, you kind of know how, like, a serial murder in the, like, 80s or 90s, like, you kind of know their trajectory, because, like, all those famous serial killers, they're, like, their pasts are fleshed out for the public. Like, here's who they were, and this is why they kill. And so I'm hard-pressed to even say that, like, serial murder is the root of all evil. There's reasons why, like you say, like, strategic, like, systemic reasons why that person was failed. And I also brought the point up to my wife the other day, was like, why aren't we seeing serial murders now, besides, like, DNA testing or whatever, investigating, like, hardcore tech and surveillance and stuff? I was like, all of that's systemic. Like, there's a reason why we're not seeing serial murders anymore, is because they've eliminated the chance for an individual, like, case like that. And now what we're seeing is more people snapping and murdering people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're just
And I'm
seeing
like,
a ton of mass shootings instead.
and I think it is the same systemic evils that plague that person to get them to that place. Not to say that I would forgive that person, because that is not a decision they should have made. In, like, the mental health world, like, you have to get control of yourself. Like, you at the end of the day need to keep you safe. And if you're not keeping, in a lot of these kids, you hear about these kids snapping, like, they had parents that, like, gave them guns and shit like that. So it was like, it's all fucked up. But I'm just like, I'm hard pressed to say that humanity is innately evil. I think we are obsessed with evil. I think we have an affinity for it.
That's kind of, I feel like, because I think you're right. Like, evil is kind of subjective, because there are people that don't think that what they're doing, like, how many movies have we seen where that's a fucking villain is like, or like, they don't think it's evil, or they're like, it's a necessary evil for the greater good, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But I also, I think we have natural affinity for it, so that's why I'm kind of like, maybe it is innate. But also, I feel like I said it's innate because I have really gnarly rage problems, and when I'm blinded by my rage, I go for the throat. Like, I can remember fights with my first boyfriend where he said something. I held shit over my first boyfriend during fights sometimes, that I remember, like, I didn't care about. Like, I remember bringing up shit to my first boyfriend one time, like, in fights. It was something I genuinely didn't care about, but I knew he didn't like it about himself, and I was throwing it back in his face just to hurt him.
But you were young.
I was also a 16-year-old kid. Like, I was also an actual
other mental
child.
health stuff going on. Like, you
and
were
I was
battling
starving
an eating
myself.
disorder. You had just picked up alcohol when you got to college. Like,
yeah.
Like, I'm saying some of these things are systemic, and I think that the way they're perpetuated is making it harder and harder for people to deny evils, because it's being sold to us as, like, consumer capitalist propaganda.
To keep us fighting each other so that we don't topple the fucking system.
No, yeah, exactly. But resistance is a spirit, not a man. So even if one of us dies, R.I.P. to world leaders right now. But anyways, I was just thinking.
It's like, what have eyes? God, knock on wood. Jesus.
No.
Don't put that. Don't say it. Don't say
But
it.
I know, but anybody could die. I'm just saying.
Anyone could die. That's true.
I
could have a brain aneurysm right now and die.
Shut the fuck up. Don't say that. Intrusive thoughts.
Yeah. To say the least.
I know. Anyways, I do want to wrap this conversation up and try to get to our last question, which is how do you protect yourself from a vampire? And
garlic, baby.
Well, I just gave you examples. But also, how to recognize your energetic output?
Mindfulness. I mean, I literally was like, I felt the fucking depression yesterday. I'm so glad that something happened yesterday. Again, I wasn't trying to suck their energy. I was just in such a shitty mood. And like, I'm usually all fucking like, so when I'm in a shitty mood, it's like felt like, and because like Ames is pointing out that I have the special ability to bring people up. Like, she's like, I can match energy. You have the incredible ability to like lift people.
I wonder what your human design chart would be. Have you ever looked into that?
No. What's that?
We're going to talk about that later.
Okay. That's for FaceTime after. Okay. And mindfulness, like I felt the energy. I was going to like, they were polishing plates and I was going to like, I took like a stack and like everyone got quiet as I came by and I was like, I am fucking up the vibe. I am being an energy vampire. I need to not. And like was like in dish and was like took a couple breaths and then the next time I like went out I was specific to be like, so how is this going? Because I don't want to suck people's energy. I want to like Uncle Iroh. I just want to bring light everywhere that I go. Like Uncle Iroh's who I want to be when I grow up, man. Like
same. Yeah, same. If I don't have that in that ponytail,
the little bun. Maybe I'll do my hair in a bun like that from now on.
Please do.
Half up, half down.
I do it.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, I have this meditation technique. I just call it centering. Like, centering is a good practice to start off with. And how I imagine centering is a lot like recognizing your energetic output. So I imagine myself, and I imagine these like energy tendrils all like in a circle around me, going to the earth, the sky, or all around me on the earth. And what I try to do in the meditation is I try to bring the energy back in. So I'll kind of like wave my arms around, like bringing it in. And sometimes in these energetic outputs, I can tell where the energy is like located. There'll be like a big ass tendril connected to something and I sever it. I'm like, I don't care what it is, done. It's mine again. Like, I'm not trying to output anything or input anything like on that tendril that's going to misrepresent me or like affect somebody else or affect me in a certain way. So that's what I do to recognize my energetic output. But yeah, I think like as far as like vampires go, garlic, throwing rice, I think you got to kind of stick to your OG stuff. But I also just like read Psychic Self-Defense, see what you think about that too. Because she has an amazing chapter in that book. And I think it does a lot for a paranormal investigator or anyone else who's like trying to understand a little bit about how to protect yourself from vampires and what they might actually physically and or metaphorically kind of pop up looking like. So
breath work. I'm like, let me direct everyone's attention to Quit Like a Woman by Holly Whitaker. She's got a lot of great self-care stuff, like taking care of yourself, also making sure your energy like is like being good in and of yourself is gonna help everything, no matter what. Like, there's one specific thing that she talks about in that book, where in the self-care section, where breath work at the top of every hour. She recommends like doing some like breathing, because all the traumas throughout the day, the little T traumas can add up and become big T trauma in your body.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, everybody quit drinking. It's fucking jet fuel. It's sugared and colored jet fuel. It's not good for you. It's a neurotoxin and an addictive substance. Go read that book. Or
After
The
we
Snake
spent
in
the
Mind by
beginning
Anna
of our
Grace.
fucking thing talking about drugs.
Drugs are bad, okay? Yeah, no. Hey. everybody does that shit, right? Like fucking
Yeah, I think
everybody
you
goes
gotta
through a phase.
recognize where you're at in your journey
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but man,
I mean, it happened. Like maybe. I mean, not. It will make you addicted to the substance. That is the nature of the drug. But not everybody gets to that point because that sliding scale is different. So, everybody's living their own life. We're all on our own journey. I just will never not recommend. I think everybody should quit drinking.
yeah. I think if people drank less, like I think if people did it for good reasons rather than bad reasons to kill
Yeah,
themselves or whatever.
it was ceremonial. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't a thing people were doing on the regs, and the government is fucking like the powers that be want us drinking so that we're too complacent to topple the system.
And drugs and drinking, yeah.
Yeah,
All of
that's why
that
they
stuff.
fucking medicate. That's why everybody's fucking over medicated for every fucking thing too. Like, I mean, I probably shouldn't be on medication. Like, I have anxiety. I almost certainly should be medicated
Yeah,
for
but
it.
like, why do you have anxiety? Because the system's fucked. That's why I have anxiety. So I don't know. It's just, I think it's cyclical. I'm like, I wouldn't be this way if the system didn't make me this way. So I will take the system's drugs, but I will not be happy about it.
My mother, so I have anxiety because I have anxiety. Because my mother has this is chilling. Well, I think it is. My mother was once looking at me as a baby. She was watching me go to sleep, and I have to have my pacifier. I had to have my ear play with my earlobe, and then I'd have my pig. So she looked at me and she was like, "This bitch needs, this poor girl. She's gonna be addicted to something. She needs way too much stimulation to be okay." As a baby, my mother had that thought about me. So I was born like this. I was born crazy. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, but like, I think about too, like, my dad was addicted to before he died. Like, I think, like, when I think about the trauma of our parents, like, it doesn't come without a heavy hand either.
That's
Like,
true.
why did your mom have that intrusive thought about a baby? I don't fucking know. But, like, it shouldn't give you a complex.
What was it? Anytime I watch my gammy fucking packing or like my gammy's so neurotic, and I literally there's so many times where we're visiting my gammy and I look at my mom and I'm like, well, we come by it honestly.
Yeah. When I think about my grandma too, I'm like, damn. I can't wait to get old.
I had family dinner the other night, like we were talking about something, and my mom was like, she's just like Gammy, and I was like, we all knew I was gonna turn into Gammy.
Literally, my family called me Nancy Jr. because my grandma's name is Nancy. And I was like, how did that skip a generation? Because it's always Dee Dee this.
It always
Nancy Jr. this.
Always skips a generation. Oh my god, it's so funny.
My grandma's not as cool as me.
My Gammy definitely has "Damn the Torpedoes" on vinyl by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, so she's definitely as cool as I am.
Okay,
if not
well,
cooler.
you're lucky. You're the one of the lucky ones. Well, I want to wrap this up a little bit too.
Yes, I was gonna say, I was like,
LOL.
We absolutely need to end this episode. I mean, it could be an hour if we want it. Fuck, it's our rules. But I need to start decompressing, so let's wrap it up.
Well, thank you everybody for listening to this episode of Files from the Other Side. You can find us on Instagram at Files from the Other Side, and you can also find me and Katie on Instagram. I'm at Skylar's Schematonics. Katie is at
I totally forgot you always do this. Do you want to do it? I am at the legendary _hitchhiker for my personal.
Yeah. So definitely check us out. And I think that wraps up our conversation on vampires. Let us know what you guys think about vampires and your experiences. Drop it in the comments. Drop it in the chat.
Slide into the DMs, whichever. Let's talk.
And
I'll tell you more about Dracula if you want. I would have totally done a summary, except for it was horseshit when I tried to do it last time. So
this is a re-record, you guys.
This is round 2 on vampires, you guys.
Yeah.
I think we did it this time.
I think so too. Well, until next time.
We'll see you on the other side.